There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of debate, and honestly, a lot of confusion around what's really happening with the drivetrain strategy. And after listening closely to the latest updates, something important became very clear. The initial production path is not what many people were expecting. What stood out immediately wasn't just what was said, but how it was said. The tone, the wording, and the emphasis all pointed in a very specific direction, and if you connect the dots carefully, it paints a picture of a company making a calculated, pragmatic decision rather than chasing the most ambitious option right out of the gate. Let's break this down step by step. The recent live stream offered one of the most transparent looks yet into the current state of development. Instead of a tightly scripted presentation, it felt more like an open walkthrough, engineers stepping in, components being shown in real time, and explanations that felt refreshingly candid. That alone was reassuring. It suggested confidence, momentum, and a willingness to show real progress rather than concepts. Early on, attention was drawn to the physical state of the vehicles themselves. Seeing the assembled body structure, not just an exploded display, but fully bonded and integrated, reinforced that this isn't theoretical anymore. The solar panels were mounted, the glass was in place, and the overall construction looked light, clean, and purpose-built. Everything about it reinforced efficiency, not excess. But as impressive as that was, the real moment everyone was waiting for came when the drivetrain topic was raised. This is where the language mattered. The emphasis was placed squarely on speed to production, proven solutions, and mass market readiness. That framing alone tells you a lot. When a team repeatedly stresses reliability, validation, and rapid scalability, it signals a deliberate shift away from experimental hardware, at least for the initial rollout. What was especially revealing was how in-wheel motors were discussed. They weren't dismissed, they weren't criticized, but they were clearly positioned as a long-term objective, not an immediate one. That distinction is crucial. When something is described as a future strategy rather than a production necessity, it usually means the current phase demands simplicity and certainty. In-wheel motors, while incredibly efficient and elegant in theory, introduce additional engineering complexity, validation hurdles, and supply chain challenges. And when the goal is to get vehicles into customers' hands as quickly as possible, those factors matter. The language used strongly suggests that the first production vehicles will rely on a proven conventional drivetrain architecture. That likely means an inboard motor configuration with drive shafts, technology that is well understood, widely supported, and far easier to certify and scale. This also aligns with another key detail: the repeated mention of collaboration with a major manufacturer known for durability, reliability, and efficiency. That kind of partnership almost always points towards established drivetrain solutions, rather than cutting-edge experimental designs. Put simply, this looks like a strategic decision to prioritize delivery over perfection. And that doesn't mean innovation is being abandoned, far from it. It means innovation is being staged. The idea of in-wheel motors remains very much alive, particularly for future rear-wheel drive configurations. But for the initial production run, the focus appears to be on getting a solid, dependable platform into production, validating the vehicle as a whole, and building trust through real-world performance. That same philosophy shows up clearly in the electrical architecture. One of the most impressive aspects of the update was the depth of thought put into wiring and system design. Rather than relying on bulky harnesses and connector-heavy layouts, the approach emphasizes minimalism, weight reduction, and reliability. Fewer connectors mean fewer failure points, and that's not a theoretical concern. Connector failures are among the most common issues in modern vehicles. The use of board-to-wire connections is particularly interesting. At first glance, it might look labor-intensive or unconventional, but when you consider the benefits, reduced weight, fewer connectors, lower failure risk, and simplified assembly, the logic becomes clear. These aren't improvised solutions, they're automotive-grade components designed to withstand vibration, temperature changes and long-term use. The zonal architecture reinforces this same mindset. Instead of a single, massively complex control system, the vehicle is divided into zones, each with a lightweight controller responsible for local sensors and actuators. A central computer makes high-level decisions, while the zonal controllers execute them. This reduces wiring length, simplifies diagnostics, and makes the system easier to test and scale. It's a smart balance between central intelligence and distributed simplicity. What's especially reassuring is how much thought has gone into power efficiency, not just while driving, but while parked and charging. The system can selectively power down unnecessary components during solar or plug-in charging, ensuring that as much energy as possible goes directly into the battery. That's not something most people would think about, but it makes a real difference over time. Throughout the discussion, one thing became increasingly clear. This is a team thinking several steps ahead. They're not just building a vehicle, they're building a production system that can survive real-world conditions, regulatory scrutiny, and customer expectations. Even small details like labeling every electromechanical device for current tracking and diagnostics point to a level of operational maturity that's easy to overlook but hard to fake. There's also a noticeable increase in staffing and activity. New faces, more engineers on camera, and more hands-on work happening in the background all suggest that development has moved beyond the conceptual phase and into execution. And that's where everything comes together. When you step back and look at the whole picture, the drivetrain decisions, the electrical architecture, the supplier partnerships, and the emphasis on validation, a consistent theme emerges. This is about getting the first vehicles right, not getting them perfect. The initial production vehicles may not represent the ultimate vision in its most advanced form, but they appear designed to be reliable, efficient, and scalable, a foundation strong enough to support more ambitious upgrades later. That includes in-wheel motors. Rather than forcing them into the first production run and risking delays or complications, the strategy seems to be to introduce them when the platform, supply chain, and validation pipeline are ready. That's not a retreat from innovation, it's a disciplined approach to it. In the end, what this update really delivers isn't just technical insight, it delivers confidence. Confidence that progress is real. Confidence that decisions are being made thoughtfully, and confidence that the path forward, while pragmatic, still leaves room for bold advancements down the line. There's more to come, and major announcements are clearly on the horizon. But even without those details, one thing feels increasingly certain. The focus right now is execution, and that's exactly where it needs to be.